I'm Victoria, and it's episode 18.
Yeah, so welcome back to our podcast. For those of you new to us, we are the chemists behind Chemist Confessions, and the podcast is just where we have an honest conversation about all things skincare. Just trying to keep things lighthearted and also add some of our personal anecdotes.
Yep. And today we have kind of a unconventional post, one topic that we really haven't covered, and that's all the non-exfoliating acids.
Yeah, I think we have dedicated multiple blog posts and a few podcast episodes to the top AHAs like glycolic, lactic acid, even mentioned the cell acids here and there. But so many of you have questions about the other kinds of acids in skincare, so this is what today's all about.
And a very fair point, because the other acids are actually pretty cool and important too. But first things first, we have to ask each other, Gloria, what are you drinking today?
Well, today I am double fisting a pumpkin ale. Today's theme is really about clearing out the fridge. So this was probably acquired around pumpkin ale season.
She's not wrong.
And then I have someone's leftover Kettle One vodka spritz.
Also a straggler. Yeah, and today also is, I found a wild little sour ale from Sierra Nevada, and I have a second one from her.
One of those episodes.
Yeah, so great. And we actually, when this episode comes out, we are actually getting really close to the book launch.
Yes, so this episode, we're recording end of Feb, but this should be coming out.
Prepared.
I know, looking hot. But this episode should be coming out around mid-March. If it's later than this, guys, you can call us out.
I believe.
Yes.
Okay.
So by that time, we will be very, very, very close to Skincare Decoded being launched. And if you're listening to the podcast then, look for our pre-order specials, because we're going to, leading up to the launch, we're going to try to do something special for all you orderers.
Yeah. We're thinking about doing some like enrichment content because we might have mentioned before, but we didn't really talk about specific products in the book. It's kind of a like trademark thing. We gotta go hunt down the brands, and so I think being able to put some like realistic examples together for some of the routines we built, hint hint nudge nudge, would be really helpful. So yeah.
Yeah, to give you a preview, we built these
Gloria's gonna read us a story right now.
I'm gonna read you a story of how this book was born. There's a lot of charts and guides to sample routines. And the enrichment content will be for those people who pre-order the book. You can have these same guides, but with some sample or representative products in these categories. And hopefully it'll just make a lot more sense.
Yeah. So really, just excited for the book to finally launch, and honestly just get everyone's feedback, so that'll be fun. And then another update is we did a round of Chemist Recommended recently. It's always good to just get back into it. We kind of gave you guys like a hint of what Chemist Recommended is, but I think for us, we always look forward to just like reading through people's routines and seeing like what exactly is on their mind and their skin concerns.
Who can help.
Yeah, exactly.
So look forward to the next round Chemist Recommended. We really learn a lot by reading everyone's routine, and by that we can start to see some common mistakes in skincare, and it also helps us just give much better recommendations overall.
Yeah. And finally, in terms of content to look forward to, we still have a few blog posts that are in the works. Peptides. Nice and
Oh my god, if our peptide collaboration piece is not out yet by the time this episode is out, someone DM me, like specifically said, Gloria, where the hell is my peptide blog article? I've been previewing this for like a month and a half now.
Yeah. You know what's funny is we mention all these articles, and similar to the podcast, it always pops out the article that we don't actually talk about.
We lied.
Yeah. So anyway, so there's that. And then also we have an expert in the works for our next expert series. And this one's going to be more skincare based. So that'll be I think that'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's one of our old friends, so we're very excited. We haven't quite settled on a topic yet, but DM us if you think of anything you want to ask a different expert.
Yeah, exactly. So, moving on to In the News.
In the news.
All right, Gloria, so what's up?
All right,
What's going on?
so last, I think, episode 16, we talked about the new trends of 2021. Whoever wrote that Allure piece was onto something because we're seeing it pop up everywhere. There's a new brand called FRWRD Skincare.
It's actually FRWRD.
For
There's no vowels.
There's no vowel. So FRWRD, FRWRD Skincare. Their brand is all about wellness, holistic values. So they have a triple mushroom complex that combines snow, turkey tail, and chaga mushrooms for your youthful glow. I personally, I'm indifferent about mushroom.
Yeah, I think snow mushroom is quite common in K-beauty, right? Turkey tail, I've always heard that is delicious to cook.
Oh, I've never had it before.
Yeah, I think because like the meat, I don't know, the meat to me does look a little like bird protein-ish. It's like very wrinkled and like big and wide.
Cool.
And then I looked up what chaga. Sorry, we're not very mature.
I don't know what chaga mushroom is actually.
Yeah, chaga is actually parasitic.
Oh,
It kills birch trees.
so we kill it for our youth to save birch trees.
We got you birch trees, and it looks like charcoal. So it's like black and yeah, it's got that kind of sphere look. But yeah.
Generally speaking, mushroom extract goes into that kind of like hippie new ingredient. They've been around for some time, but I will say based on what we've seen, and we always say if you have other like really great data that we missed out on, send it to us, and we'll follow up with an update. But I haven't seen anything that's super exciting in the mushroom world.
I mean, I agree. And this goes back to like I think this was like a previous tinfoil hat theory that like some of these like trendy ingredients,
Like herbal ones especially.
they don't have to do the testing because people are into it. Like they know that mushrooms are good for you, and so they're like willing to try it for their skin. So anyways,
yeah, so the data is just really, really, really early. I have barely seen anything that's beyond the petri dish stage on mushrooms. So, you know what? If it makes you happy, if it's a ritual thing, sure. But if you're tackling more serious skin concerns, take it with a grain of salt.
I have a tinfoil hat theory.
Oh my god, I keep forgetting you built Victoria an actual tinfoil hat. It's coming.
I think by the end of this, we're ready to become botanists. I have learned way more about plants that I never knew existed. Like, never did I think I would know more about, like, kind of the, I guess, medicinal benefits of plants than through skincare.
It's true. And I will say, even though I think we've always been a little critical of that lack of data around botanicals and herbs, I'm not saying all botanicals are bad. Of course, there are quite a few. Oh, that should be a next episode. Botanicals with good data.
Helpful botanicals.
Yes. Ooh. Yeah, because there's so many, right? But I will say I love going to those shops that have like all the hippie teas and all the exotic extracts. I get it. It's like an experience, right? It's really pleasing to look at all the dry plants and the stories are nice, but
Yeah. All right. We have another celebrity skincare launch in the future.
Yeah. So Sofia Vergara hinted,
I also like her.
Yeah, not so subtly hinted at the fact that she's going to launch a line of skincare. I don't know if it'll be out by the time this episode comes out, but look forward to our review or our thoughts on that line soon. We talked about JLo line last week, and then JLo had some awkward press about her promoting her line because Yeah.
The filters. Yeah, and I feel like, you know what? At her age, without filters, she's already like
Gorgeous
and like aging goals. You know, like puts us to shame. You know, so I can understand where they're like, oh, I wish she didn't have to do that. Plus, it's skincare, and everyone looks for really natural.
Yeah, and I wonder if it's I don't really know how that came to be. I don't know if it's just she feels pressure to have that like completely poreless look. You know, I do wish that we can be a little bit more real about them. I almost feel like my tinfoil hat. I feel like the world is going towards extremes, like even on something as simple as skincare, right? On one hand, I think there's a big following, a big group of people who love that Instagram filter look.
Yes.
You know, that Snapchat filter, Instagram filter, that flawless, you know, like your face is skinnier, your eyes are bigger, and then a whole nother group that's like all natural, no makeup, like embrace yourself the way you are. And I think
there's a healthy medium. You know? Like sometimes there's moments where you do want to look like more glamorous, like have that baby doll look, have that glowing, glittering face. And then there's days where you're like, you know, it is also healthy to be like, hey, I like my left lines.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Yeah.
Plenty.
So I was debating about this when you discovered the new celebrity launch. I'm like, do we start a celebrity bracket of like what we think what skincare lines are gonna launch? Because I'm like, this could be really fun.
Actually, yeah. Oh my god, it's a betting pool.
Yeah, I'm like, do we start like some sort of bracket where we all put down our like celebrities that we think are gonna in the future come out with a line?
You know what? I feel like
money or like punishments.
Oh, I like that. You know what? I feel like Pharrell has already thrown my senses off. That was the last person I thought would come out with like a skincare line.
Beautiful packaging, concept is so all over the place. I have no idea. And then I was thinking another thing we could do is bet what kind of skincare line Sofia Vergara will come out with. Because she is teaming up with apparently one of the previous CEOs of like Kiehl's.
Something herbal.
Yeah, and I was like, I really like her. I really hope she doesn't come out with like another... Yeah, like just botanical forward skincare line of like trendy ingredients. Just like you said, adaptogens. So...
Actually, when you said Kiehl's, I'm like, yup. Gonna be a botanical toner of some sort.
yeah, exactly. So, but anyways, maybe we'll do the bracket. I think that'll be fun.
So,
and then I gotta share this one because I find it hilarious. Gloria has discovered.
I feel like I live for someone who's so deep into skincare. I really feel like I've lived under a rock.
Yeah, Gloria recently has discovered what slugging means. And that there's like a whole cohort of sluggers that do the hashtag slug life kind of skincare routine. Gloria, would you like to share your thoughts and feelings about slugging?
You know, I don't know how I didn't know that this is a thing, but I read into it. So slugging, for those of you like me who also lived on a rock and didn't know that this is a whole thing.
More K-beauty roots, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of it's been trending in K-beauty circles, and apparently it's a practice of slugging your face in petrolatum as a last step. So you just cover your face in something very greasy, waxy to seal it in.
I want to say, since the inception of when we started doing videos, I don't know how many times Gloria has actually talked about like slathering her face in Vaseline.
Especially when I fly.
Yeah, and how like, yeah, I don't know, you probably heard a comment of like, this shiny girl in the airplane seat. Like, yeah, so
apparently I've been slugging this whole time and I had no idea.
The grandmother of slugging.
Grandmother?
You know how they say the grandfather?
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to make that.
Yeah, so, I mean, new term for me, but as a concept, it totally works. Great idea, especially if you have dry skin. One of our favorite estheticians, Angela, she is also a fan of just like, you know, prepping your skin for a big day and whatnot. Just embalm yourself and then go to sleep. I wake up rejuvenated.
Personally, I feel like the people who actually do listen to our episode have done that from the beginning. So congratulations, you guys. Y'all were in before the trend.
Apparently, I'm a trendsetter, baby.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, and then finally we have another launch, new brand launch.
Yeah, new-ish brand launch. Bobbi Brown, the founder of Bobbi Brown, she has a new brand called Jones Road. New-ish brand. I think they actually Jones Road started in makeup, true to her roots, and they recently came up with a line of skincare. And one of the products caught my eye, which is their hippie skin stick. And it caught my eye because I realized
Tinted?
No, it's just a clear oil stick. So I think since Milk makeup and in recent years there's been a lot more brands that have waterless formulas, so they will have things in very balmy or stick forms or even bars. I've seen a lot of bar moisturizers. How do we feel about waterless skincare?
Well, okay, I personally, like, that's not really for me.
Victoria has oily combo skin.
Yeah, so I'm like very worried about the shiny heaviness of some of these oils. And I notice to keep things lighter, I see they use like the beeswax. It also uses coconut oil, which freaks me out a little bit.
1, 2, 3 as a third ingredient. It's coconut oil.
Yeah, so that makes me very nervous. And then another thing is it looks like it would smell great. I'm not too sure, but it mentions the orange peel oil. And while we love citrus oils, there is this concern about citrus oils in skincare just because I guess in terms of essential oils, a little bit like phototoxicity.
Yeah, and actually high levels of essential oils in general can be sensitizing. Yeah. And this is one of the things we always say is natural doesn't instantly mean gentle or effective. Essential oil is a great example. They're very complicated ingredients. There's a lot of components to a fragranced essential oil. And a lot of times that can be the source of your irritation.
Yeah. So probably be hesitant to try, but Gloria, would you feel like this is something like when in need?
I think generally speaking, waterless. You can think of waterless sticks like this and bar moisturizers. They're mostly your occlusives or emollient components. They are your best friends in your slug life. Yeah. If you want to try it. Definitely give the ingredient list a read. Like Victoria said, beeswax is a little harder wax. Coconut oil is a non-comedogenic ingredient. So probably better for those with dry skin. Yeah. And know that is not the only thing you need. I think a lot of the waterless movement comes from this idea that you have a smaller like water waste footprint, so it's more sustainable, which is not wrong in your thinking, but your skin needs more than just fatty ingredients. They're really lousy. Anyway, so it's a supplement product. It's not the only thing your skin needs.
Yep,
so,
agreed. And finally, we have another discovery. There is a new addition to the whole skincare fridge space. And apparently, the brand called Face Story, but it's spelled Facetory, which makes me want to say Face Tory. Facetory. But yeah, they came out with a fridge that now includes a face mask side panel for you to slot your sheet mask in.
Cute.
Okay. I'm really waiting for the skincare fridge companies to catch on to a new opportunity for their devices. Why not just sell it as an actual fridge? Because in Asian cooking, some of the stuff is kind of stinky, and I think it's a wonderful idea to sell your mini little fridge of stinky things. So then your whole other big fridge doesn't
See, that's all. Okay.
Hello?
I think a few episodes ago, someone asked what's the best way to use skincare fridge. Other than your skincare, I'd say it's Koreans. A lot of Korean people I've heard who live in Korea, a lot of them have 2 fridges. One dedicated to the art of kimchi, but for non-Koreans and casual kimchi eaters like ourselves, if I want to make my own kimchi, I'm not gonna make a whole fridge full of kimchi. I can make a whole skincare fridge full of kimchi. So I think you're onto something.
I really think, like we're missing an opportunity here, skincare fridge people. Like it's cute, it's designed really well. Like I really feel like, if you need to open up to a new customer set, this is the way to go. But anyways.
Yeah, mini kimchi fridge, please.
All right, finally. Now it's time for the meat.
We have the meat. The meat.
For my sandwich.
The meat, as we mentioned today, is non-exfoliating acids, or I should say more precisely, just gonna put it out there. The focus will be on tranexamic and azelaic acid.
Woo-hoo.
Yeah, we did a poll on Instagram on which.
Y'all had some feels.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It was a pretty even split between azelaic and tranexamic acid.
Some of y'all were very aggressive in your lingo of like absolutely tranexamic or no, seriously tranexamic. Reading that for a quiz is like, oh, okay.
Okay, we're on it. We got you.
The gravity of these statements.
Yeah, actually, I find it really funny. So Instagram limits you to 4 options. So Victoria and I were sitting there, we're like, oh, tranexamic, azelaic, ferulic, spin around, but no one talks about it. It doesn't get spotlight. And we're sitting there going through acids, and I'm like, hyaluronic? And just put it out there. And then we got so many messages that say, you forgot kojic acid. I'm like, the list is short. It's not my fault.
The anger. Although I feel like we've really come so far, because I never thought that when we first started, people would be like, you forgot this active. You forgot this ingredient.
Yeah, actually, that's really great. Yeah.
So, anyways, all right. So first things first, to get it out of the way and clear the air, what acids we're not talking about are the exfoliating acids. So these are the ones that we talk about as AHAs or BHAs, anything that's going to shed those dead skin cells off and give you glowing skin.
Yeah, and I just want to be clear that AHA stands for alpha hydroxy acid. These acids are classified by their chemical structure. How do you feel about Orgo? Before we go into acid structures,
Gloria and I have already discussed how I feel about Orgo. And so has to hear, she just wants me to tell you that Orgo was my least favorite of all chemistry classes. And it wasn't my best subject. I found that I was not good at drawing geometrical shapes, and
little did you know, years later you'd be drawing circles all day.
Yeah. And I feel like it's still probably that subject that could really like smack me over the head of like, you don't know anything. You know? The chiral, achiral, like, yeah.
I feel like, it's definitely one where I was like, I am geometrically questionable. I'm like,
the reflecting of molecules.
Trans. But anyway, for those of you still in school, good luck.
Also, we feel you.
Yeah, but anyway, so glycolic lactic acid, they're actually related by chemical structures. A lot of these acids are not. So that's how we kind of break them up. And I will clear the air and say, well, we say non-exfoliating acids. A lot of these, even azelaic acid and even citric acid, we consider citric acid just a whatever acid. Okay, but even citric acid has been used in a peel. Up to 50%, has some good data. But the reality is we classify these molecules as non-exfoliating because you'll never find it at the exfoliating level in your day-to-day skincare. So, that's out of the way.
Yeah, agreed. And so with that, as we mentioned, the two that we're going to really focus in on is tranexamic acid, which is getting a little bit of a spotlight, which we're happy about, and then azelaic acid. So we'll start off with tranexamic acid because we've actually touched on this before in our pigmentation series. So its origins is definitely pretty interesting, and I will say, when we launched our product with tranexamic acid, a lot of my healthcare medicine friends actually texted me and they were like, how are you using this in your skincare? Because it's actually stemmed from dealing with bleeding.
Yeah, it is used as a medicine to treat anything from heavy nosebleeds to heavy periods.
Heavy periods, yeah. And the origin's pretty interesting, right? People were having heavy period flow, and then, they were taking this orally and started realizing their skin tone is improving.
That's a very similar story to retinoids,
Man,
right?
that's like magic. Because when you think about like pharmaceuticals, you're always like, you hear the laundry list of side effects. Like, well, it cause diarrhea and confusion and,
And it's like happy people biking that may cause excessive gas, headache, loss of vision. And they look so happy.
It's so true.
I love pharma commercials are super funny to me.
Yeah.
Like smelling the rose and may cause temporary night terror, temporary blindness.
Yep. So accurate. Yeah. So
But this is a pleasant side effect.
For once, the side effect is awesome.
Yeah, and finally, tranexamic acid is relatively new to the U.S. market. I think you'll see a lot of articles that's like, oh, the new exciting ingredient, tranexamic acid. But interestingly, it's been around for forever in Asian skincare. So I grew up in Taiwan. So as a kid, I have always heard of like 传明酸, and I just never made that connection that is tranexamic acid. In fact, I think like I'm fluent in Chinese, but I'm not chemically fluent in Chinese. Like I don't know any proper names in Chinese. So when I found,
it's also very like the translations are like.
Yeah, super wonky. So anyway, that thing has been around, being popular in Asia for decades. So what that means is there is decades of testing. So there's a whole slew of interesting studies around tranexamic acid.
It's topical and oral, right?
Yeah. So what's interesting is the origins obviously in oral tablets of tranexamic acid. It's used topically, obviously. There's also a lot of studies on injections. We will not go there.
No, but awkward.
Yeah, but it's an option. Yeah. I think I read one that's like a local infiltration of tranexamic acid. I'm like, that's a weird way of phrasing it.
You just know that's like a very awkward translation.
Yeah.
That translation was taken too literally.
Yeah. So, tranexamic acid has a lot of studies, and when it comes to one of its main benefits is melasma and hyperpigmentation treatment. And
I do want to point out the reason why you don't hear about like melasma claims is because that is very much like a pharma claim. It's an OTC drug claim, and so that's why you will never hear of like your skincare pigmentation products talked about like can it help with things like melasma.
Right. It will use more general phrasing like brightening or whitening even. But anyway.
The testing profile is awesome.
Yeah. So we should take a step back and mention that with any sort of melasma or hyperpigmentation testing, it's very difficult. You have a ton of ingredients out there that claim to have pigmentation fighting effects, but a lot of them, like many other actives, are in that Petri stage test.
If you hear anything with the lingo of like tyrosinase inhibitor, that's how they're getting those like Petri claims. And Petri dish, they're testing it in like usually Petri dish conditions.
Fun fact. They use mushrooms. A lot of them use mushroom tyrosinase.
We've come full circle.
Today's theme is actually mushrooms and what they do for you.
Sorry.
But yeah, a lot of them stop at the testing a mushroom stage, and your face is not quite like a mushroom, so that's why it doesn't translate well. So there is a few tiers of what we consider how we rank hyperpigmentation fighting ingredients. Mushroom stage is like the initial vetting stage.
Mushroom stage.
Animal testing is the next stage, but we don't really think too much about those.
Yeah,
we don't take
pigmentation in animal.
We don't take it too seriously until we get to human skin testing. And then the highest tier is if it's benched against hydroquinone. Because hydroquinone
gold standard.
is a known gold standard. And tranexamic acid has been tested against hydroquinone many a times.
Also, first off, very rare scenario. Not many ingredients will be tested against the gold standard because they don't want to risk.
You're setting up an ingredient for failure, really.
Exactly. And the other thing that I think is really cool about the data is that they test it in like the ultra difficult skin concern, which is melasma. And melasma is probably like one of the main, very stubborn pigmentation skin
We get
concerns
a
that
lot
we
of people, who reach out to us asking about it. And any pigmentation takes a lot of patience.
Yeah, and also usually will take a slew of you'll probably find that, you know, a lot of pigmentation correctors and serums, they have like a whole cocktail of ingredients. And the reason why hydroquinone is a gold standard is because it alone, you know, at 4%, which is the highest you can get in drugstores, does have some benefits as a single active, which is not common for pigmentation. Yeah.
Right.
So, but anyways, so we'll go through a couple pieces of data and tout how awesome it is.
So one of the first studies I found is it's relatively small, but it has 30 women with melasma, and it compared 5% tranexamic acid with 4% hydroquinone for 12 weeks. And note that 12 weeks is a really, really good length of time for pigmentation testing.
Yeah, that's the other annoying part with pigmentation is sometimes it takes as long as, or actually normally it takes as long as half a year to see any real results. You got to think about like seasons, and you got to think about, you know, pigmentation fighters. They need to be used super diligently for a longer period of time, and not many people can stick to that kind of strict regimen.
Yeah, it's just really hard.
Yeah.
We get it.
Yeah. So, 30 women.
Yeah, right? So the two products perform very similarly. After 12 weeks, there is a greater decrease in hyperpigmentation in the tranexamic acid group. That difference isn't significant, so we would say that's like pretty much on par.
Yeah.
But to be on par with hydroquinone is pretty impressive. Hydroquinone does come with side effects like irritation and dryness. So the tranexamic acid group was actually better tolerated than hydroquinone.
Bonus. One asterisk is that it is liposomal tranexamic acid, which means that it's encapsulated. Usually that suggests better penetration. But all in all, really good signs. And there's other data to kind of talk about it in non-liposomal form as well. Also orally. We've actually gotten questions about taking tranexamic acid orally, which I thought was surprising, but yeah.
Yeah, so it does work, and what's interesting is I found a couple different studies, and one of the ones I'm going to highlight actually has 100 eligible patients that did the study, and honestly, 100 is a number. Anything over 50 is hard to find in skincare. So this is great. What they did is they compared taking a 250 milligram thrice daily. Oh my god, you're chugging tranexamic acid. You're taking this pill 3 times a day. And you're adding it to hydroquinone. So this is not a comparison study. This is a regimen study. And what they found was that this combination was very, very effective. And what's interesting is they assessed the relapse. So a lot of times, the thing is skincare is a marathon. You don't treat a symptom in 8 weeks and then you're like, problem solved, I'm going to have perfect skin forever. So they actually measure if that effect sustains
when
after the treatment period. Yeah. And what they found was, what they did is they compare a skincare routine that combines 4% hydroquinone to this 3 times a day tranexamic acid tablet to just using the hydroquinone cream. They did the treatment for 3 months, which is a standard testing period. And then they followed up after another 3 months after treatment stopped.
Wow, that's a really long study.
It's a half-year follow-up.
Just know they blew money on this study.
Yeah. So what they found was while the performance was pretty similar, it seems that most people were more satisfied with the tranexamic acid study. That means even though the instruments, what they detected was pretty on par, whatever the mechanism of oral tranexamic acid is, people feel like they're generally more brighter, more even tone, and they're just happier with the result.
Yeah.
So that's kind of an interesting study.
Definitely. And finally, they also did another 12-week study, and this is topically.
With 346 melasma patients.
We love it. We never see, like, on average, brands will usually only test like 30 subjects, just because it's very expensive and exponentially gets more expensive when you add more people.
Not to mention, for these type of studies, you're recruiting people with melasma, so that's that much harder.
Every time you add on a factor, just think it complicates adds price. So to have that many subjects with melasma is awesome. Yeah, and with that, this was a 12-week study. It was single-blinded.
What that means is one of the products has the label and marketing lingo all around it. So it does have like a hint of bias skew towards it.
Yeah. But what they did was actually evaluate, the improvement of testing 2% hydroquinone versus 4% tranexamic acid, just to see how it would perform at a lower dose, which I think, while 4% is usually the standard, you will find products that kind of do a gentler introduction at 2%. And they found that it did perform on par at those percentages. So again, with that subject size, also keep in mind it's also melasma. These are all really awesome things. So
yeah, so all in all, this is the ingredient that deserves all the hype that it's getting. So for those of you on the market looking to add a tranexamic acid to your routine, here are some of the representative products that uses this ingredient. First up, there's two classic clinical derm-esque brands that use this. Lightera, Skin Medica's Lightera and SkinCeuticals Discoloration Defense both use it.
I feel like Lightera was even earlier, right?
Yeah, it's the OG. I don't know if it's the OG, but it's been around for a long time. It's one of the most acclaimed pigment fighting
and also
serums.
And I think that's like Skin Medica's like champion serum.
One of their top sellers, I believe. And I will say both Discoloration Defense and Lightera, they use a blend of ingredients, not just tranexamic acid. And I think it's a good thing for sure. Yeah. It's just a complicated issue that takes a whole family of ingredients.
Yeah, and we obviously have to tout our own product.
Ooh, and a brand called Chemist Confessions has
so cool,
gold standard that combines 30% glycolic acid with 5% tranexamic acid. This is not a product that you would use daily.
Oh my god, sorry. No, I'm screaming because someone recently just told me they were spot treating with gold standard and I was mortified.
It is not a spot treat. 30% and 5% tranexamic acid is very, very, very potent. If you want to use it daily or close to daily, you are diluting it into your serum. Yeah. One drop will do the trick. Yeah. I think our most preferred method for using gold standard is to use it as a rinse off mask. Yeah. You use it literally as a once a week. It's a home peel. That's what it's supposed to be.
I almost keeled over. Like, we did all these fun instructions only to find out that you still spot treated and didn't read the instructions.
Yeah, just and in general, please be careful with acids. Please. There's a lot of I think it's great that there are a lot of effective products out there, gold standard included. But please be careful.
Yeah, and the other thing just to keep in mind is that when you are doing pigmentation or wanting to tackle your pigmentation, what you can do is we generally recommend to wait till after summer. I know right now you're still kind of like going into spring, so there's a little bit of time, but as there's more sun out, we really would rather you just focus on sunscreen, good protection, because you're still gonna probably accumulate some sort of pigmentation over summer as well, and it just makes the road to treatment like that much longer. And it's a very, very stubborn skin concern. I would say the most stubborn skin concern.
Yeah, so I burned myself a long time ago on my wrist. And I will say I'm not the best about taking care of it. But when I first burned myself, it was pretty dark. And that was when it really bothered me. And I definitely covered it. I used a bunch of different stuff on it. I use the Skinnerin, which is azelaic acid.
Yeah.
That will come next. And I use all sorts of discoloration serum on it, soothing serums, protected it. And then after I faded enough, I'm like, whatever, I don't care. And I will say, like, driving even the Cali sun, like having my hand on the wheels, you can just feel the circle going like.
Yep. See, it's shadowing a little bit.
Yeah, so like that's what part of the main reason why this is still around. This was like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So just know that it takes diligence to really uproot it.
Exactly. So that ends our ode to tranexamic acid, but last but not least, azelaic is probably way more popular than tranexamic acid. I feel like it's getting a really big kick lately. But
you know, from a chemist perspective, I low-key prefer tranexamic over azelaic just because tranexamic is highly water soluble. Fun fact, even though it's an acid, it's actually at a very neutral pH. If you just dissolve some tranexamic acid in water, you're gonna get something close to 7. Azelaic acid freaking hates water. It hates everything. It's just an ingredient that likes to just sit by its grumpy self in solid form. It doesn't want to work with you.
Exactly.
So,
and just also, it'll just swim around in your solution.
Yeah, and this is why you will find tranexamic acid in creams and serums. Most azelaic acid based products are like something milkier. They're paste. They're sometimes they're creamy.
Trying to pummel it.
Yeah, and the awkward thing is it's effective at a very high level. Tranexamic acid, 4 to 5%. Great. Azelaic, the lowest level we found that's effective is 15% in academia papers.
And you won't find it more than 10%.
Yeah.
Sadly. So this is where you guys might wonder why we don't champion azelaic acid often.
Much, yeah.
It's because, the percentages won't really hit. And as we've been stating from the very beginning, percentages do matter.
So, I mean, first, let's hit on azelaic acid.
How it got us fame.
Yeah. So it has 2 main benefits. It's also touted as a melasma/hyperpigmentation fighter, but an area where it's very well studied is acne benefits.
Yeah.
So,
and with that, sorry.
I'm sorry.
No.
And what's interesting is we've always known, and we've had a library of papers on it being used as a topical at like 20-15%. I actually didn't know that they tested it in a bunch of different chemical peels. And there's a ton of studies using azelaic acid as peels, usually not a standalone peel. The only standalone peel I found is it uses 30% azelaic acid once every 2 weeks as a chemical peel.
Sorry, I just have to interject because 30% azelaic acid, and you say peel, and I usually think of peels as like very liquid water toner kind of textures. Is it a paste? Like
it's either like a completely alcoholic liquid. Like cell acid, you can find cell acid in peels up to 20 or even 30%, and that is all alcohol.
Yeah.
So maybe alcohol. They didn't in that paper. I didn't find the information on the cure yet, or it could be like concrete paste.
I think of like powder, bricking like using the mortar and pestle.
I don't think you're very wrong in how that's manufactured. So yeah, they did 6 treatments once every 2 weeks. It's a relatively small study, but they tested it specifically on acne lesion and found that was helpful.
Yeah.
And I've also found a lot of different chemical peel studies where they either use azelaic acid as a support product after glycolic acid peels.
Yeah.
Or I found one where it's just like hanging out in combination with cell acid and phytic acid. I don't know why. Like, I feel like people in the chemical peel world just like, it's got the word acid and then let's throw 10% in, see what happens.
You joke about that, but I'm pretty sure it's not far from what actually happened. I really like the anecdotal study that really, it talked about like 0.05% tretinoin. It's quite low with 15% azelaic acid for back acne, just because I hate back knee. Like, most stubborn, most difficult, gotta deal with, usually has pigmentation, the post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation spots, and just not a lot of studies are dedicated towards treating that. This is like very anecdotal. It's only 4 African American women, and I like it even more because it tests on darker skin types, which is so hard and so difficult.
Rare. Yeah, and to add on why it's so hard with darker skin tone is, and we actually feel like darker skin tone hyperpigmentation issue is the hardest to treat. And first of all,
they gotta find the sweet spot. Whereas for fairer skin types, you're
blasting it with actives,
bleaching, and you're like not too worried about.
Yeah, so with darker skin tone, a lot of times you're really worried about hydroquinone because it can give you that halo effect, and you are very prone to post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation. So if you use a very aggressive peel, like a 70% glycolic or phenol TCA peel, then you're worried that you're irritating your skin so much that you're actually getting more hyperpigmentation.
Yeah.
It's just a really difficult situation all around, and that's complicated further because there isn't as many studies that's dedicated to that skin tone range.
Yeah, exactly.
So we love this anecdotal study.
Yeah, and then I feel like the 20% azelaic acid, the reason why we tout that skincare range so much is because of one of the studies that compares it to 2% hydroquinone. And this one also looks at subjects that are from Indo-Malay Hispanic origin, which means their skin tones are also a little darker. Yeah. So this study, classic, double-blinded, it has 155 patients. And on top of that, they do use a broad-spectrum sunscreen, which all people trying to tackle pigmentation should be doing anyway.
Please just wear sunscreen.
Yeah. We always say if you're going to tackle the skin concern and you don't use sunscreen, what is even the point? Like, your pigmentation actives already have to work so hard. Why do you have to make it exponentially harder by not protecting your skin from the sun? But yeah, so overall, in terms of time frame, they did much longer, 24 weeks. And they found that the azelaic acid subjects actually performed a lot better than 2% hydroquinone.
Yeah, this is super exciting. So with that, you're probably like, I am ready to add azelaic acid in my routine. Here comes the difficult news. Very, very, very few products, especially if you're based in the US, have 20%, which is the most tested concentration of azelaic acid.
Very sad. Sad.
So, I mean, there's a lot of reasons for that. The Skinnerin is a classic 20% cream that you can buy online. Because it's become more popular, it's really hard to find, and sometimes when you find it, it's absurdly expensive. So you'll find Paula's Choice and The Ordinary have 10% azelaic serums, and a few other brands too. So what we would say is definitely make sure you use that day and night, because at 10%, it probably won't hit the efficacy that you're looking for.
Yeah, and think of it more as like a secondary active.
Yes.
We keep talking about cocktails, pigmentation. To tackle pigmentation, you need cocktails. So this is a great addition to your bigger pigmentation fighters.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a great ingredient to also pair with your acne fighting routine with the studies we mentioned, pairing it with tretinoin. All the peel studies pairing with glycolic acid and other ingredients. So the good thing is this ingredient plays well with other actives. So definitely use it in a more complex routine to get the best benefit out of it.
Yeah, so, and then also don't think of it as like the main active in your pigmentation acne fighting routine.
Yeah. Da-da-da.
Cool. And so those are our two main ones that we want to talk about. There are a couple that we're still going to just... Quick fire go through. The first one is kojic acid.
Pigment fighting routine, very not stable, turns black on you, so be careful.
So black. So black, it's almost concerning. It looks like sludge.
I've definitely worked with one once, and it looks like toxic, pulverized waste is all I can say.
Good, but shelf life horrible.
Yeah, keep an eye out on your product stability.
And usually will never be like the champion ingredient. I feel like it'll always be like with
A
other
support
things.
ingredient. All right, ferulic acid, go.
Really, it's more to help the stability of vitamin C. You know it through CE ferulic. I have seen, I can't remember where, I have seen one trying to tout the ferulic acid part of a skincare product, and as if that is a champion active. That's not actually the takeaway here, I would say.
Supporting ingredient, moving on.
Exactly. So, and then we have a few others that really aren't considered actives.
So first up, hyaluronic acid.
Just hydrating.
Yeah, it's a hydrating ingredient. We can go into more about like the small hyaluronic acid. But generally speaking, it's there to hydrate. It's pretty big. It sits on top of skin. There's some studies that indicate that some of it penetrates skin, but it doesn't get incorporated into your skin and plump. It's not the same as injecting hyaluronic acid in your skin. Citric acid, go!
First of all, if you find it in your serum, your AHA serums, ignore it. That's it.
So usually using a cream to help the chemist adjust the pH. That's it. And it can help with preservation depending on the formula type. That's it.
That's it. So don't listen to those claims.
Yeah, it's not exfoliating.
Sometimes you'll see like AHAs and like we use all these other ones like the malic and tartaric and the things, you know.
And they're there to hang out.
They'll throw in citric and I don't understand that.
Yeah. Next. So last but not least, everything we mentioned are mostly Team Water. Azelaic acid is Team No One. But we have Team Oil acids, which we have found that a lot of people get very confused about. These are generally not like hard-hitting active per se. So first off, we have fatty acid, like your stearic acid, and
They're just waxes.
Yeah, stearic acid is very big and very chunky. It's actually there to help your cream stay creamy.
Yeah, they are the emulsifiers that bring your water and oily components together.
Yeah, linoleic, linolenic.
Yeah, those are your omegas. They actually do have some
Skin properties.
Skin benefit, some nice skin benefits in terms of improving skin tone. Not the most stable, have a funky scent, but can be very helpful in skincare. Yeah.
Dissolved acids? Am I forgetting an acid?
Probably. I think we've probably forgot a few, but there will be a part 2 then.
Yes.
All right. So I think that's the meat. Hopefully
Thus concludes the meat.
Yeah. Hopefully that gives you an idea of all the other acids that you guys are wondering about, and that kind of clarifies the space, because anytime we have a bad habit of calling it the acids and then but there's actually other ones and people get confused.
So if you have any questions, let us know and we'll help identify that acid.
Yeah.
Like, who is that Pokemon style?
Oh, God. All right, so it's time to...
break it up. Break it up. Ooh, Animal Corner time. Woo!
It's Animal Corner Fun Fact.
Today is an extra selfish Animal Corner Fun Fact day.
Well... thanks to Gloria and my loved ones, they all recommended that today, since it's my turn to do animal fun facts, let's do it on my newly adopted dog, Maisy.
Miss Maisy, if you want to see Miss Maisy, go to our Instagram story. We featured her in our last live session.
Yeah.
She was a little grudgy, but she participated.
She doesn't like being picked up. I think she's afraid of heights. But Maisy is actually a mutt, but she is predominantly Australian cattle dog. She's got that classic characteristic coat with like the spotted black and kind of like that salt and pepper like fur. So this is really an ode to Maisy, and I've
Welcome to Chemist Confessions family, Maisy.
Also encouraged Gloria to do a fun fact corner for her cats as well.
Oh, yeah, I can do that.
And actually, I was thinking maybe we could do like a pet skincare fun fact.
Yes!
Yeah, I feel like that'll be fun. But anyway, so we've adopted Maisy. This is going on 5 months from her very awesome foster mama Audrey. And she's got some really quirky characteristics. I never thought that they could have such personality. They're very smart. They are very, I feel like if she had opposable thumbs, she could probably operate the microwave if she wanted to. But yeah, so went down a rabbit hole, and I feel like these are going to be installments because I think I could talk about them for a long, long time. But today is just about the origin story of how the Australian cattle dog came to be. So they are originated from Australia. And what happened was...
I'll be really weird if they're not.
Yeah, no surprise. So what happened was when they brought cattle to Australia from the UK, the dog came with it. And the dog that came with it was the Smithfield's Collie. It's like this wiry, kind of like terrier looking medium-sized dog. The problem was it wasn't quite equipped for the kind of herding it needed to do in Australia.
It's too much land.
Too much land. It has very long wiry hair, so it's too hot.
Oh god, poor thing. Just picture like, stop running.
Yeah, exactly. And they were thinking like, oh, maybe, it kind of barks a lot, so maybe there's something we could do there. So they decided that we're going to try to optimize the Smithfield Collie. And they crossed it with a tamed dingo that's like native to Australia.
Wow, really?
Yeah. And
I feel like that the Maisy year.
Yeah, the pointy ears. The big pointy ears. Yeah. So interesting results. This is like a lab experiment. I'm so excited to share. So the dog was more quiet, which is awesome. But unfortunately, it was like too enthusiastic of a biter, and it got too excited to like bite
the animals that are herding.
Cows that are delicious. So, anyways, so that was completely axed immediately. Next thing,
you just pictures the first person that proposed that idea said, "Mom, I'm a genius. Wait, don't eat the cow."
Yeah, exactly. They're like, oh, but wait. Yeah. And so, secondly, they decided to cross the dingo, same thing, but with a rough collie. They didn't bite, oh thank God, but they barked so much. They barked to the point that they agitated the cows, made them so anxious while they herded them that by the time they got to market, they lost weight and they lost money.
So the cows are like having anxiety.
Why does it keep
stop barking?
Exactly. I thought it was fascinating, and I really feel like there's like some weird parenting like lesson or concern just from that act of like too much yapping leads to losing weight.
I just picture people like herders at that time like bringing in their skinny and scared cows like, this is like my prized cow, it's delicious.
Just like, oh, please get me away from this dog. Yeah, exactly. And then, okay, so still need some optimization. And then they decided dingoes, different kind of collie. This is the Highland collie. And they're
very set on the dingo line, though.
Yeah, I think they, native to Australia.
More resilient to Australian landscape.
More resilient. They wanted the coat. They wanted kind of like the athleticism because they have to trek across such long, big areas of land. And then they crossed it with a Highland collie, and then they were like much improved because not only were they silent, they only nipped at the cows' feet to get them to change directions and guide them, and that's why they're called healers.
Ooh, pretty good.
Yeah, and they also could flatten themselves out in case a cow decided to kick them.
Oh.
So, yeah, because it's dangerous, and cows they got attitude too. So that's how they became the Hall's healer. So that was kind of the ideal standard. They tried other mixes too. One was they crossed it with a bull terrier, and it bit the cow to try to move, but it didn't let go of the cow. It wasn't trying to eat it, just didn't let go of the cow, which I thought was that's not the way to go. And then they also tried crossing it with Dalmatian because they like that Dalmatians. They actually they have this weird friendliness towards horses they have this protective nature. So they wanted to see if they could bring that in to the Blue Healer. But unfortunately, it lost its like work ethic.
I will hurt from 2 p.m. to 4:30.
No more.
Yeah, not enough overtime.
Yeah. So I thought that was awesome. They did have this gem of a hall healer. This was by a man whose last name is Bentley. They call it like the Bentley dog. And they were like, that is like the gold standard because their stamina was awesome. And how you know if your Australian cattle dog came from that lineage is because it has like a white kind of like spot or star on his forehead. And Maisy has that. And I can confirm that she has incredible stamina. Like, no quit. There is no quit in this dog. Like, she will always want you to fetch it. She will patiently wait for anyone to throw the ball.
Maisy loves fudge.
Yes. So if you're ever in town and you want to play with her, she will be very happy.
Bring a tennis ball or 10.
Yeah. So anyways, that's kind of the origin story of the Australian cattle dog and how the dog came to be. One last fun fact I didn't realize was that previously the Guinness Book of World Record holder for the oldest dog was a Blue Healer. The dog's name was Bluey. And he lived till 29.
29?
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
Yeah, and I don't know what's in the Australian water, but then it recently was beaten by another Australian dog breed called the Kelpie. The dog's name was Maggie, lived till she was 30. And the owner was...
Wow.
Yeah, the owner was saying that she has seen the son grow from 4 to 34, which is such a weird concept.
Wow.
Yeah. So
That's adorable.
I know. So anyways, yeah.
That's the Australian cattle dog.
Maisy.
Yeah, Maisy is delightfully weird, and she loves fetch so much that if you're busy, if no one's paying attention to her, she will stare so intently at the ball, kind of like, if I stare hard enough, either it's gonna move on its own, or one of these suckers can't take it anymore and will throw it for me.
And it's so true.
Yeah, it works.
She's like doing some psychology testing on us. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good. So anyways, yeah, I'm sure you will see more pictures of her. We're also going to get Gloria to do a segment on her cats.
My cats.
Cats in general.
Cats are assholes.
Their dynamic is great.
Yes.
And yeah, maybe we'll talk about some sort of like skincare or fun facts skincare stuff for pets.
Yeah.
But yeah. And last but not least,
The Q&A corner.
Sorry.
Q&A corner. We need a jingle for it or something.
Yeah. We'll get there.
Maybe people will talk us out of it. Like, no more jingles, please.
We got a question from one of our good friends all the way in Europe. At the skin side of me, she asked, did I understand it correctly that retinol oxidizes in contact with air? Dropper bottles with retinol products, won't it oxidize? And I think that's such a good question we haven't talked about in a long time.
Yes, it will. So that's why we do tout more airless packaging. So either airless pumps or aluminum tubes, like those really airtight tubes. Or even any airless packaging. So for tubes, how you can tell if something's airless is either when you press it down, if it's that aluminum texture, it doesn't pop back up. When you squeeze product out, it kind of keeps its form. Even like plastic airless tubes, when you pump it out, it's just gonna like keep squeezing it down. It won't like go back to its full like fat form. So yeah, that minimizes air contact.
Yeah, droppers are not our favorite.
No.
They're better than jars, but that's a very low bar.
Yeah, but
yeah.
I mean, I will say like there are things you can do in the formula to help, but usually to like kind of safeguard or just to maximize your chance of hitting a successful product, we do recommend seeking out airless packaging.
Yeah, and encapsulation of retinol is getting better. That one of the things is to try to improve stability. But if you have the option to put it in optimal packaging, it's like, why a dropper when there's the airless pump options?
I want to add that vitamin C, even though it does oxidize as well. The reason why it's in a dropper most often is because it lets out gas as it oxidizes.
And also very fluid.
Yeah, so if you put it in a pump, it will kind of spit out. And just not very ideal. So for vitamin C, dropper is fine, but just finish it as soon as, like, once you open it, just go through it.
Yeah. And I would say for a friend, you know, if you are using this like retinol product in a dropper bottle, just use it through quickly as possible. Do pay attention to color changes. That's usually a good sign of like how your product is doing. Yeah. So second question we get is, what about Floritin CF?
Oh!
This is SkinCeuticals' other antioxidant serum. She asked, everyone talks about CE ferulic. Totally fair. So many dupes. But the Floritin CF, also same price, but is it worth trying as for someone, she was, I think the added part to the question was for someone who kind of like didn't really like the texture of CE ferulic.
So, for those of you who's never tried sea ferulic, think about something that smells like hot dog water, but is stickier than honey.
Floritin CF to me is not sticky-ish.
Yeah,
it's not as sticky, but is more nourishing, I've noticed. Like, I feel like that tocopherol part really comes in a little more.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, there are two forms of Floritin CF, one in a dropper and one in a pump.
I think she means the dropper one.
Oh.
The one in the pump is like, that was the second one, the second launch, right?
Yeah, SkinCeuticals naming scheme's really dry, so I kind of can't remember. But there's another Floritin forward product.
And it is a pump.
Yeah, and that pump is, there's silicones in it, so that one has a glidier skin feel and definitely no stickiness to that. The one in a dropper, agree with Victoria, it's less sticky, but it's definitely substantial. Yeah.
The smell is not as bad.
Yeah, it's a different scent. Less hot dog and more like...
maple syrupy?
Is it?
Funky maple syrup.
Fermented maple syrup.
Yeah. So anyways, but I personally, for me, I'm like, if you it's not a bad formula. I know people always tout CE ferulic, but definitely another good way to get antioxidants if you're thinking between the two and that price range. So keep going. All right, last but not least, we have to finish with a layering question of actives. So the question is it possible to use retinol on the same day or the same week that I use AHAs, BHAs, and BPO?
You go first.
Yeah, so I'm going to assume because of this combo of actives that this is probably you're more concerned about acne. I would say then probably absolutely. It's just a matter of introduction and how you bring it in. So funny. The reason why I bring this up is because this is the day we posted about layering tips.
Yeah.
So Gloria, there are these layering tips. What is your recommendation on introducing this active?
So I had this moment of brilliance spurred by my beer that introducing active is like introducing cats.
Yes.
They might hiss at each other in the beginning, and it's important to listen to your skin in that period and proceed with caution. So in this lineup of products that you listed, BPO and retinol are going to be your main acne fighter. You could use BPO and retinol. If you can just use one, personally, I'm like, I don't know. Would you recommend having both BPO and retinol?
It's common. They usually are meant, but the combo is usually tretinoin and BPO. That they've done like a couple studies, and they would want you to keep those in separate routines, one day, one night. So I think that's perfectly fine. But I would say that if you're introduced retinol, which is a heavy hitter, into this routine, which sounds already pretty heavy, just try introducing it maybe once or twice a week into the routine, and then see how your skin reacts on this number of actives. Just because
Consider your skin sniff period, like just let it feel it out a little bit.
Exactly as Gloria said, you probably are going to see some flaking. You might feel some stinging. And And so if that's the case, just either if it's tolerable, stay the course, or you can dial it back a frequency until your skin can like slowly acclimate.
And I want to add one more thing is AHAs and BHAs in this kind of layup is going to be your support ingredients.
Yeah.
So make sure BPO and retinol work for you first, and then in AHA, BHA, it's so dependent on their concentration.
Yeah.
You can use the lowest amount of BHA you can find, like 0.5% to supplement.
Yeah.
And in terms of AHA, you can either just use once a week as a wash-off mask, or use a lower level like an AHA toner or lighter serum instead of like a full serum at 12%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally agree. And I think, another really good takeaway that I really like about our post today is that, you want to think about what is your focal point of your routine in terms of the active. And here, there can definitely be a couple. I definitely like the focus on retinol BPO, especially for acne. So hopefully that helps.
That was a lot, but DM us if you have more questions.
I do this a lot.
Yeah.
Go on, rants.
I think with skincare, it's always like, well, it depends on which one you're using. Depends on the concentration. So,
yeah. Cool. So, that's the end of the podcast.
That's it. We
did it.
said in the episode the next one will be on effective botanicals.
Yes.
You will find out if we lied about it or not, soon.
With this track record, we're probably not going to do that subject. Well, who knows? We may surprise.
But it will be consistent, so we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Yeah, for sure. So after this, we'll probably be like sharing how the book launch went. I can't believe it. Yeah, and we got some. We're hoping to have a new launch update for you by then. We are trying very hard, but per usual, product development. Product development. So, but anyways, hope today's episode was helpful for you guys. Yeah, and
that's it.
We'll see you next time.
We'll see you next time. Bye.